It's the 21st of September, British Standard Time. And I'll maybe pop that with the link in the actual chat as well, for everybody to see at the end of this. I'll get it from Mike and sort that out at the end. Now we have six storytellers tonight, just so you know, not five, six. Um, we're going to start off with Catherine, and then Mike, Jim, Usha, Rona, and Niharika. We're now streaming to Facebook as well. How fabulous! Let me just see if I can find that on the page as soon as we've started. Okay, so if you could please all put your hands together, or up rather, and waving around, we'll get started with Catherine. Catherine, are you ready to go?
I am, yes.
Excellent. Let me mute myself, and then we're ready. Thank you. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you. My husband, Ben, and I always wanted to go to South America. We wanted to see the Amazon and the Andes and Tierra del Fuego and the Nazca Lines and Machu Picchu and loads more. And eventually the opportunity arose, and we had a look at the map and we realized, no, this will take about 6 months if we want to see everything, and it'll also cost an arm and a leg. But we prioritized and discovered that many of the things we really wanted to see were in Peru. So we got the tickets and off we went. Our first night in Lima, it's very cold. It's like overcoat and scarf cold. And we went along to this nearby little restaurant to have something to eat. And we had barely sat down and looked at the menu when next thing, these three guys in beautifully colourful serapes and those chollo hats, you know, those knitted hats, South American with the ear flaps, and they had pan pipes, and they were playing El Condor Pasa. It's a song you all know. It was made famous by Simon and Garfunkel. You know the tune, da 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 da. And the pan pipes have that lovely breathy feel about them. And the song is both sweet and sort of slightly sad. And for some reason, it just conjures up the Andes for me. And we were charmed. And the second time it happened, we were charmed also. And the third time we were pleased, yes. And the fourth time, we're reminding one another these are poor people, they're trying to earn a few bob to feed their families. And anyway, it was time for us to move out of Lima. So our plan was Nazca, Lake Titicaca, Machu Picchu. So most tourists fly to Nazca to see the lines, but I had looked at a map and I saw the Andes on one side and the Pacific on the other side, and I thought the views are going to be just amazing, fabulous. We're taking the bus. So we're on the bus and we see nothing for miles and miles and miles, because there's a fog rolling in from the Pacific and we can't see anything. But it's a first class bus and we get to play bingo and I win a bottle of Pisco. Anyway, we arrive in Nazca. The Nazca Lines can only be seen from the air, so we go out to this little rinky-dink airport and we get into a very rattly little plane and up we go. And they're not so much lines, are these huge drawings in the desert, like as though they were done on white chalk on this brown desert. And we see a hummingbird, a guanaco, a tree, a monkey, a huge spider, and nobody knows who did them, and nobody knows what they were used for or why they were done. But they are absolutely amazing. Anyway, we land safely, much to our relief, and off we go to get something to eat. And we sit down, and my husband, Ben, is very keen on a guidebook. And he had the rough guide open, and he's going, oh, do you know that each of those drawings are done in just one single line? And next thing, da 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 da. And I say, I think they're following us. They've come all the way from Lima after us. And Ben just gives me a look. Anyway, I give them a few coins and I say gracias with a very insincere smile. One of the things about living in Ireland, in a small island like this, is that you have no idea how big other countries are. And we realized we weren't going to make it to Lake Titicaca in just one day. We're going to have to stop off. So we decided, well, we'll stop in this second city, Arequipa, and we zigzagged up through the Andes and we arrived there at night. And the next morning, we decided to have a look around the square. But we were absolutely gasping like goldfish because of the height, because of the altitude. So we decided to go for a cup of coffee. And there was this cafe that had a balcony that looked over the square. So we went up there and we sat down and we had the cafe and we watched over the square. But there was some sort of big kerfuffle going on the other side, lots of people around. And we discovered that it was a demonstration by women gold miners who were looking for better conditions and more money. And there was crowds began to march around the square, and there was banners waving and shouting and slogans. And every time the slogan was shouted, all the people watching on went, Viva! So we went Viva with the best of them. And next thing, we heard this hail of bullets somewhere behind us. And I'm thinking, I'm ashamed to say my first thought was, oh, this is the revolution. It'll make a great story when we get home. But then there was a second hail of bullets, and I thought, oh my God, there's no Irish embassy in Peru. The nearest one is in Chile. What will we do if it all turns nasty? And next thing I heard, da 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 da. And I'm thinking, why are you playing El Condor Pasa in the middle of a revolution? But there was no revolution. It was just bangers going off for a fiesta in the next barrio. So off we went higher and higher and higher up to Lake Titicaca and stayed in Puno, which is a town just on the lake. It's the highest navigable lake in the world. And we wanted to go out and see the Reed Islands. You see, when the Incas came and conquered all that place, the local people didn't want to be slaves. So they built these Reed Islands out in the lake and they lived out there. And they still live out there today. And they earn their living fishing from their reed boats and bringing tourists like us. Well, we're not tourists, we're travelers, but they bring travelers like us out to the Reed Islands. So we went out and we sat on the island. It's like being on a lilo, but the island is big enough for two families to live there. And the women gave us this tea made out of the flowers off the reeds. But at least there were no pan pipers as we were drinking the tea. However, when we got back to Puno, once again we sat down, da 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 da. I said, I think it's a mafia. There's some sort of plan is to torture tourists. Why do they keep playing the one tune? And then the voice of reason said, well, it's the tune tourists know, so that's why they play it. Anyway, once again, the fact that we come from Ireland went against us. We thought we'd make Machu Picchu in one day, but we realized, no, that's not going to happen. And besides, we're finding the altitude really hard going. So we decided to stop in Cusco and spend a day or two there and look around and see what was to be seen. And Cusco, it turned out, after we had traveled one of the highest roads in the world, was a very pretty town. It had this arcade round the main square and all these carved wooden verandas above, and it had Inca walls and all sorts. But every time we sat down, every single time we sat down, whether it was breakfast, lunch, dinner, a cup of coffee, just sit down for a rest. Da 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 da. And I thought, if I ever get my hands on that condor, I will choke it. So next we went to Machu Picchu. The train goes up through the Urubamba Valley and it stops at this place called Aguas Calientes. It's a little town directly below Machu Picchu. Basically, it was set up just for tourists. And most of the tourists from the train go straight from the train up to the site. But we decided, no, we're not tourists, we're travelers. So we decided to stay overnight in Arenas Calientes and take the first bus up in the morning so that we would avoid the millions of tourists. So the train goes up the main street of Arenas. It stops directly outside our hotel. We go to have something to eat that evening. There is not a pan piper in sight. Go back to the hotel and discover our window looks straight out on the Urubamba River, and it's in full space. And we fall asleep to the sound of the river, and it is bliss. Next morning, we're on the first bus. We travel up the zigzag road right up to the site, and it is totally covered in mist. We can see nothing. Well, yes, we can see one thing. We can see a guanaco up on a wall, and it looks like a ghost. But hey, we're in Machu Picchu. We better just walk around. And as we're walking around, occasionally there's a break in the cloud and the sun shines through, and that's nice. You get a glimpse of the mountains. But walking along through an archaeological site it's hard going at the best of times. And at that altitude, oh, it's a killer. We were really breathless. And we found ourselves in this little section that was just on the very edge of the site. And we decided to sit down and drink a little drop of water and sort of, rest. And as we were there, the clouds disappeared and the sun came through and the sky was blue, and we could see way, way, way down this incredibly steep slope. We could see the Urubamba River in the valley, and it was so quiet we could even hear it. And around us we could see the mountains, and they were blue and purple and grey and jagged. And the air, it was so sort of pure. And standing there, you could feel, oh, if I were the king of the Incas, I would feel I had conquered the world. And as we stood there looking around, next thing, two condors, two passed at eye level directly in front of us, and they were just swooping around. Oh my God, they don't flap their wings. They swoop and glide on the thermals, and they are gigantic things. The wingspan is 3 meters, it's 10 feet. And these amazing creatures were just swooping and gliding and swooping and gliding in front of us. I'm in tears. My heart is pounding. Ben's in tears. And oh, I don't know how long they stayed there, but eventually off they went and up into the mountains. And for the rest of our journey in Peru, every time we heard do, 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 it just brought us back to that pure air, to that sun shining, to the sound of the river, and to the great joy of having met those amazing winged gods of the Andes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Catherine. That was lovely. That was lovely. And makes you want to go immediately. I know we have at least one person in the group, Niharika, who's very, very keen on mountains. So I'm sure there's going to be some more people who are just booking some tickets right now. They'll expect condors, and you'll be blamed if they don't see them, however. So thank you so much, Catherine, for that story. And we're going to move swiftly onwards towards Mike, who's going to tell us a story about zoos cryptically.
I am, yes.
Are you ready, Mike?
I'm absolutely ready, Rachel. When it gets to about 7.5 minutes, just wave at me, and can I wind it up? Okay.
Okay.
So here we go.
Thank you.
So we're going back to 1975, and I would like to point out that I looked a bit like Nakarika. Her hair, my hair was as long as hers was, and I had a braid that went round there, and that braid had to match the braids at the bottom of my Levi jeans that were now split. And so they were flares, and it all was color coded and everything else. And I decided I was going to go around the world. I was going to go to New Zealand. Now I got myself a little summer job on Longleat Safari Park. Because I'd worked there for about 3 weeks, that made me an expert. And Chipperfields, the circus people in our country over here, Mary Chipperfield, they were opening a brand new park just south of Paris. So I thought that will do, that I can go and work there for a couple of weeks, get the money, and then we'll go on round. So one evening, on a Tuesday evening, I found myself at Euston train station in London, to get the train ferry to Paris. So you go to Dover, get the ferry, go to Calais, Paris, £10 one way. 2 o'clock in the morning, pint of Guinness, waving goodbye to the White Cliffs of Dover. Never see you again. I'm going off around the world and everything else. Got to Paris that morning, 6 o'clock, stayed there for 2 years and came home. I just liked Paris. It was great. But I got the job on the safari park, like I said. And the first thing they did, because it was just opening up, they put me in charge of the elephants. Now, there were 5 elephants. And I've had to go through my memory to get the names. But the 5 elephants were Baba, Ingrid, Heidi, Callie, and Snowy. And they'd come from all different parts of Europe. Now, if you think of an elephant, we know a lot more about elephants now than we did back then, or Chipperfield's the circus people. They had 5 or 6 parks, and what they've done is we need 5 elephants for the one in France, take 1 elephant from each of the other 5 parks and put them all together. So these poor elephants, they'd been taken out from their lovely, comfortable environment that they'd been in with their friends and everything else, put on a train or a bus, driven hundreds of miles across Europe, all by themselves, and dumped in a brand new place with a brand new building and a brand new bunch of people and a brand new person to look after them, which was this hippie called Rust. Well, I took one look at this and thought there's only one way to do that, is to sleep with them. So when they slept, I slept. When they ate, I ate. And you can imagine the rest. And I did that for a week. And so I just stayed there with them. And suddenly we began to get a bit of trust together between us. And they were beginning to trust me, and I could talk to them and everything else. And so it came to the day. It was a bright, beautiful 9 o'clock in the morning, summer's day in about April, blue skies and everything else. And I thought, I've had enough of being inside. We were supposed to keep them inside for 3 months while everybody got to know each other. I'm fed up with being inside. It's a nice day. I'm going to loose them all out. So I undid all the chains, opened all the gates, and let them, and we all walked out together into the enclosure. And that was the first time I saw the elephants dance, because they had been all locked up and had these strange journeys, and they hadn't been let out. And for the first time in months and months and months, for some of them, they were free to roam around. And the paddock they had was about the size, if we're doing old English sort of areas, a football pitch is about a soccer pitch, you call it. A full-size one is about an acre of land, and they had 6 acres, which was all theirs. They could just roam around in it all day. That was the idea. And they loosed them all off, and they did their dance. Now, as they did their dance, their ears come forward, the trunks go up forwards, and they dance on 4. They just jump up and down. It's the first time that they hadn't been chained up for all that time, and they just run round and round and round and round for about an hour. And I just stood there in the middle. I just walked around. They didn't come anywhere near me. I never felt threatened of any kind at all. Snowy came up to check that I was all right, because she was worried about me. And when I looked around, all the new people, all the French guys who'd never seen an elephant before, they were all standing around, and they were the other side of all the fences, and they were all trying to attract my attention and say, you've got to stop this. Look, they're going mad. And I was going, no, they're just doing the elephant's dance. So we did that every day for a week, and they came back, and that started the process off. And suddenly they left me in charge of the elephants. And my father, in his great wit, used to say this, because he was what you call a town clerk. He's a chief executive, and part of his duties, it was on about 90,000 a year, mate, was to look after the sewers in the local towns. And he said he went there, the circus came to town one day, and there was a guy there mucking out the elephants. And he went down and he said, how much do you earn a week? And he said, I earn £2 a week. He says, I'll give you £4 if you'd come and work in the sewers in my local town for the town clerk. And the guy mucking out the elephants said, well, you double my money, but I'd have to leave show business. And that's all Dad always used to say. Anyway, so my job in those days, I got about 1,800 old francs, it was. Which, now, if you think of 100 francs, a bottle of beer was 10 francs. So I had 1,800 francs to spend for the month. So it wasn't being too badly paid. Plus, I had a car in the evenings, accommodation, and all my food, because it was circus. So that was all just thrown in as well. So basically, my 1,800 francs was my beer money, or my going out money. And I didn't have to put any fuel in the car, because I just filled it up from the park's tanks and everything else. So that was fine. So life was all good. So I came back one night about 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, the park security, there was 3 gates, and no animal could get out unless it went through 3 gates, and all the gates were locked at all times. So that was why the park was completely secure. The tigers enclosures, the lions enclosures, the gorillas and all that, they were all behind 3 gates, which is why the camels just walked out one evening. I never find out how the camels walked out, but just as I was coming in, I looked round and the gates were all open, and I went down to where the camels, it was the summertime, so the camels would just be left out in the paddocks for the evening, and they'd all gone, all 6 of them. And my heart sank. Oh, this is going to be so much trouble and everything else. So I went to the gateway. Now, the good thing about this was that in about June 1975, if you start tracking camels across the the French countryside, you're probably, the tracks are going to be the camels that you want, and you're not going to come across any other camels. It was just going to be your camels. So I tracked them across the fields. It was quite easy. It was dark. I got myself a safari hat on. I got some sunglasses because we all wear sunglasses. And I tracked these camels across the field for about 5 miles and came to an absolutely delightful little housing estate where what you'd call Middle England or Middle France, where, you know, professional people were living there with detached houses, with nice garages and nice cars outside and nice front gardens with all the flowers on and everything else. An absolutely charming place. Apart from the fact when I first went there were 6 camels eating all the front gardens. They were eating all the flowers, they were eating all the roses, they were eating the absolute lot. And the sun was just coming up, and I picked up a radio from the site and someone was answering it. I said, we might just get away with this if I get them back before anybody notices. So just then I heard a police siren and my heart sank. And this policeman turned up and a fireman turned up, and then an ambulance turned up. I've got you, Rachel. And an ambulance turned up. And so I joined them all in a great straight line, and I started heading back. So in front of me was a policeman. Alongside me was a fireman. And at one point I'd asked for some cigarettes. So they all produced some cigarettes. And this little sort of trail of 6 camels and me, we walked back across the French countryside, straight back into the park. Just as we got to the park, there was a photographer, and I thought the fireman was going to put him the other side of the universe if a flash went off and upset the camels. So we walked past there and we walked straight back into the park. And as we sat down, the Count de Montemont, all the bosses were there, all the press had turned up. The last thing, there was this great big story about animals escaping from a safari park. So I just turned around and went, I think the publicity stunt worked really well. And everybody just looked at me and they all started laughing. And we all had breakfast and we all went back to our work. And that's the end of the story. I hope I brought it in 8 minutes, Rachel, for you. Okay.
It was 9 minutes, but that's okay. All I could think of was, you did a lot of drugs in the 70s, didn't you?
Did I?
Was all true, was it? They did a lot of drugs in the 70s.
No, the only drug I was either Herefordshire cider or whiskey. I never really went in for on the other substances. And everything I've just said is true. Absolutely.
That was unexpected.
Yeah. I did say I'd try and workshop it with you, but I didn't have time this week because of the festival and everything. So I hope that
was unexpected. But fabulous. Thank you so much. So we've got condors, and now we've expanded the new repertoire with quite a lot more. Somebody just randomly put you in charge of some elephants, you know, there's just too much there. My goodness, the first 2 stories have set the bar very, very high. So no pressure, everybody else, no pressure at all. But our next storyteller is Jim. Are you ready to go, Jim? Oh, he's not quite yet because he hasn't unmuted. There he is. Okay, now he's ready to go. Jim's looking fabulous today, and he's going to be telling us a story that involves foothills.
Foothills, another true story. Um, years ago, it's actually almost 20 years ago, my wife and I were visiting our daughter, who at that point was living in northern India. And it was the first time for us to visit her there. And we were very excited to see the country. We said, "What is it that you would like to do most?" And she said, "Leave India." Well, that wasn't really our plan. I mean, we had expected to see India and to know what was going on. But she said, "I really would like to go to Nepal. Could we go to Nepal?" I said, "Sure, it would be great." Now, not all of you will remember, but 20 years ago, Nepal was kind of in the same situation that it has been recently. It was a very dangerous place to go. Um, the Maoists and the Democrats and the Royalists were fighting, and there were bombs going off, and it was not a good time to go, but we didn't know that. So we went, and we were pleasantly surprised that there were no tourists there at all, because they had more sense than we had had. But we found a wonderful, wonderful guide who spoke fluent English and decided we'd take the time, and he led us through all sorts of places in the country. It was a wonderful trip. And one of the places we really wanted to go was the foothills of the Himalayas. Now, we were not going to climb any of the mountains, but we wanted to get into the foothills. And so he took us off into a rather, obscure place. There was one trail that we were walking along for hours. We never saw another person. We saw some places that people lived at a distance down in the valley, but it was just the five of us walking these trails for about an hour. Now, you might imagine that the hills are rather steep around there, and off on one hill that was even steeper than the others we had been walking beside, there was an orange flag up at the top of the hill. And I turned to our guide, Babu, and I said, "What is that orange flag?" And he said, "Oh, that means there's a Hindu temple up there. That's so people know where to go. And, it's if they need to get up to the temple." And it had this, what we call a switchback trail to go up to the top, because it was a very steep hill and it took a long time to go up. So I said to Babu, "Do you think it would be all right if we went up and had a look?" And he said it would be fine. Well, no one else wanted to climb the hill. So I said, "Okay, I'll go up." And now, mind you, we're in the foothills. We haven't seen anybody in quite a while. And I have to tell you, in rural Nepal, people don't speak much English. It's a very unusual thing. So as I'm cresting the top of the hill, this young man runs over to me and he says, "You're here. You're here. We've been waiting for you," in fluent English. And I said, I don't know who you're waiting for, but it's certainly not me. I'm just, random here." He says, No. The guru's been waiting for you." And I said, "Now I know you've got the wrong person. There's no way." And he said, No. The guru has a very important question to ask you." And I said, "Now, there's just not me." And he said, "No, you're from New York, right?" And I said, "Oh, I guess it is me." And so I climbed over the top of the hill, and there in the middle of this little hill is a temple that's being rebuilt. It's in pretty tough shape. And the skeptic in me said, "Well, I know what his question is. He's going to ask for money. And that's okay, because it's part of the reason. That's fine, happy to share." And he leads me over into the darkness of this temple that's being reconstructed. And there's this guy who, if you had seen a cartoon of a guru on a mountaintop, that's what he looked like. Nice long beard and long hair, and sitting cross-legged in front of a little fire. And through the young man who act as his interpreter, he asked me a question that only I could know the answer to. Now, I've never told anybody what that question was. And today I'm not going to tell you either. So, but the question wasn't the important thing. The important thing was that here we were, two people from the other side of the world of each other, and we had a connection. We had a connection that meant more than any of the differences that we had. And I realized the guru sitting on a mountaintop in Nepal and a storyteller from the woods in upstate New York shared things that ran deeper than anything else. And that's my story of connection.
So fantastic. And I always maintain, Jim, thank you so much for that story. More mountains again. It's a very mountainous evening, and or morning, depending on where you are. But I always maintain that storytelling is all about connection and about us finding ways of connecting with one another in a deeper way than usual. So thank you very much for
Thank
that
you.
story. Absolutely fabulous. So everything is so amazing here tonight. Really enjoying it. Now, the next storyteller is Usha. And Usha's story even has a title, Homecoming, because she's very together. So I hope that you can open up your hearts and get ready to listen to Usha's story. You ready, Usha?
I am. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Rachel, and thank you, Jim, for that lovely story. And to all the others, Mike as well as Catherine. Well, my story is based on Zoom, where we are right now. Well, here we go. Some chapters end not with a full stop, but with soft ellipses. The familiar scent in the air, the crisp notes of the familiar filter coffee, the melodious notes of soft instrumental music in the background. To be lost in one's thoughts, to be found by friends, a new habit, a new normal, the perfect coffee conversations, coffee tales over Zoom. As the calculus of life remained unchanged, unabated, life had taught us ways to connect via the internet. We three friends met for our coffee tales over Zoom. Maybe once in a couple of months, perhaps. We met in the October of 2021. We had gathered like starlings, sharing our life stories to navigate through the difficult times. Hey, said Lata, did you hear, Usha? US has opened up for visitors as of November. Yes, I have booked my tickets to visit the children, I replied. Lata answered, my son too graduates next year in May 2022, and then hopefully we can all meet. What about Aditi? Asked Meenakshi, the third friend. As we all sipped our coffee, Aditi was Lata's daughter who was studying in Boston. Did you read the inspiring article sent by Aditi? Lata asked. The ordinary heroes of the Taj Hotel attack. Mumbai was bombed by terrorists, and Lata's daughter had written about it. Do check your inbox, she said. Aditi is so busy with her work in Boston. You know, Usha, I haven't met my children since 2018. It's been 3 years. I fly back to Sharjah next week, Lata continued. How's your knee, Lata? I asked her. I think I need to undergo a complete health checkup, she replied. We spoke about the book we were reading, Ganga or Ganges by Anuja Chandramouli. I shared with them my forthcoming story projects. One of them was the origin story of the river Ganges, and the children's book I had recently published, a newly minted author. Meenakshi showed us the quilt she was presently sewing, pieced and beautifully upleat. It is a craft which requires skills, and Meenakshi wove exquisite tapestry. And Lata, she was the superb cook, and she shared with us recipes about millet dosas. You know, the pancakes? You would understand it better. And the healthy smoothies to manage the blood glucose levels. Millets can work magic on diabetes. As a parting shot, Lata called out to me, Usha, remember, don't forget to suggest suitable boys for Aditi. Reminded me of Vikram Seth's A Suitable Boy. A brain craniotomy, my friends, is nothing compared to planning an Indian wedding. Seeking an Indian prince from the Ivy Leagues like MIT, Harvard, Princeton, or Yale was every average Indian mother's dream. It was good to sit with friends sipping coffee, albeit online. It was as if the years had dropped and we were young women working in an investment bank. That was our last coffee conversation. I visited my children in New York in November as planned and stayed for 2 months. The winter was a bit harsh for us and aggravated my husband's arthritis, but it was worth to be together again with the family. There was a time in India, my friends, when studying abroad was considered a mark of privilege. Rise of the middle class in India had turned that privilege into a common aspiration. More and more parents wanted their children to study abroad. We too succumbed to this. Let's move forward to April of 2022. I was busy ideating my international storytelling festival, which was scheduled in 2023. There was a missed call from my friend Meenakshi. I was busy in a series of meetings the entire day and decided to call back. I read the message in the evening. Lata is no more. Her funeral is 2 days later. Her children will be flying in from the US. The note said. I was shocked and paralyzed. Gathering my wits together, I called Meenakshi. Meenakshi said, Lata had undergone a mitral valve replacement surgery at a well-known cardiac hospital in Mumbai. She was recovering and suddenly her vitals dropped. I have no further information, Usha, she said. Only the funeral details. On Monday morning, 2 days later, Meenakshi and I reached the funeral grounds. Our hearts were heavy, and we hesitantly reached the funeral parlor and saw Lata laid on the pyre, and the rituals were underway. The priest was chanting the mantras, sacred incantations. A motley crowd of relatives and friends had gathered. People were still scared of the fourth variant, Omicron. Aditi and Abhinav, Lata's children, were inconsolable. They were standing close to their father. Looking at Lata's face, my heart silently wept and cried out, What a homecoming, dear Lata. Oh, my friend, rest in peace. Thank you.
I'm just going to let that one sit for just a moment there. Just a breath. It was lovely, Usha. Thank you so much. Thank you. One of the things that I really love about telling stories of loss online or wherever we are when we do tell stories is that for that small amount of time, we bring people back and we can share them again with people they might have not even have met, which is, it's a real wonderful thing that we can give everybody else. So thank you so much for sharing your friend with us. That was wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to move on to the next storyteller tonight. And Rona, are you ready to go? Okay, you're not unmuted yet, so you need to do that.
That would help.
Yes, otherwise it will just be miming, and that's probably not going to work as well as we want it to. Although it could, I don't know. So now we have Rona, who is going to tell us. Are you still telling about your evening at home?
Yes, I think I
Okay,
am. I've changed
great.
my mind about 5 times today.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Well, could we please get ready to have a mental round of applause for Rona?
My daughter had just gone off to university, my middle child, and she left her bedroom like, you just couldn't even begin to imagine. I'm sure those of you who have got teenage children or have had or have been a teenager yourself at some point will know what it's like. And I thought, what am I going to do with all this stuff? And she had lots of matching luggage, Sainsbury's bags. Right? There was dozens of them, crammed full with all sorts of stuff. So I rang her up and I said, listen, sweetheart, and it's coming up time for Christmas now, and I'd like to get up into the loft and get down the decorations and get ready. So you've got a whole lot of stuff stuffed up there. Is there anything particular that you want to keep, or can I just go through it and put aside what I think you might need? And she went, Mum, that stuff that's up in the loft, you can just get rid of all of it. It's just all old work from our university days and stuff like that. So that was coming down, and so I got started. I poured myself a glass of Pinot Grigio and sat by the fireside. The fire was lit, and I started to empty these bags that were crammed full of notes, papers, all sorts of stuff. And I was just taking my time and throwing them into the fire, and I got through about 3 bags. And then I came to bag number 4. And I thought, I give it a little squidge, and I thought, this is just all papers and rubbish again. I'll just put the whole bag in. So I wrapped the top over and I threw the bag into the fire. And I sat back, and my glass was on my way to my mouth, and all of a sudden I was blown right off my chair, right over the back of my chair, with the explosion from my fire. There had been an aerosol can hiding in there, sneakily hiding in there. You would not believe the devastation. Half of my fireplace came away from the wall. The whole room was full of soot and smoke. I was stunned. I was shocked. I thought, oh my God. So I ran and got my Hoover and started to hoover up as much as I could that wasn't alight. I'd scraped most of it back into what was left of my hearth, and I'm happily getting rid of the rest of it. And I sat myself back down and I started to finish my glass of wine. And then I saw a little ember glowing on the carpet. And I thought, oh no. I mean, the place is devastated. I thought, I need to put that out. And I went over and I tramped on this little ember. And then, just to be sure, I hoovered it up. Well, Rachel knows what's going to happen. She could tell. I sat back down again. And a few seconds later, my Hoover bag burst into flames. And I thought, oh my God. So I picked up my Hoover and threw it out the patio door that I had opened earlier. Just one little problem. I forgot I had closed it again. So that Hoover bounced off the door and came back and hit me in the shin, and I toppled over. And I'm looking around at this devastation a few weeks before Christmas. I've got no fireplace. Oh my God. And I tried to calm myself down, and it was not easy, as you can imagine. But the next thing is, this is quite a short story, but you can see why. It was a very quick escapade. My husband arrived back from work. My husband was a policeman, and he had just come off the back shift, and he opened the door and he looked in and he said, "It's been absolute chaos at the station tonight." He says, "But I can tell it's not as bad as this. I'm going back to work." And he disappeared and left me sitting there. And the next morning, I just couldn't believe it when I was looking around. But I had been complaining about my Hoover for quite some time. And my husband finished this story off for me, because he just looked at me and he said, "Some people will do anything just to get a new Hoover." That's my story.
Oh my goodness. That was the shortest story, and yet the roller coaster ride was still there. Yes. Catherine says to everybody, you should have, Catherine says in the chat that you should have married a fireman instead of a policeman. And that was, I'm just thinking the Hoover filled with all that flammable dust. And oh my goodness. Right. Well, we can't hear you, Rona.
The worst bit for me was forgetting that I had already closed the patio door again. And I threw that Hoover with such force to get it outside. At least it didn't break the door. That was one thing.
So just for everybody who might have been considering asking Rona to house sit for you, you might just want to reconsider that, okay? Because maybe there's some poor decision-making processes going on here. However, I'm sure she's learned from the experiences, far more ready this time to do what needs to be done. Now this has been an absolutely delightful evening, and I really appreciate all of you for all of your stories. However, we've got one more left, which is going to be equally amazing. And we have Niharika. Niharika, are you ready for your story?
Ready.
Excellent. Okay, please, a little round of applause for Niharika.
My story is also from the mountains, up north, like the very north of India. This is from a trip I took back in 2019. I mean, it was summer, but it was absolutely freezing. I took off my warm cashmere gloves and I squatted by the river with a toothbrush in my hand, just mentally preparing myself to put my hands in that icy water. And then I noticed this little girl standing maybe a few feet away from me and very intently looking at me. I think she was probably as high as my knees. So I noticed looking at her, and I look at her and I smile. And the minute I look at her, she looks away. Anyway, I thought I lowered my hand, cupped like this, and put it into the river. And my God, it was so cold. My finger had barely touched the water, and I squealed. I squealed, and I just couldn't touch that river. And I think hearing my squeal after it was followed by a giggle. I heard that little girl who was standing there giggle. She was wearing this hand-knit sweater. It was double her size, and she had this like kind of permanent rouge on her cheek. So I was sure that she's local from the village up there. And I kind of felt accomplished to have made her laugh. She was still smiling, giggling. So I looked at her and I said, "Good morning." She looked at me like this and then just ran off. This was my very first morning at the village. It was called Yugar village, and it was a very, very remote village. I was there on a volunteering trip in 2019. I was kind of struggling with my job at the moment. I was struggling with motivation, thinking what's next for me. So I decided I'm going to go to the Himalayas, where I remember spending the most carefree days of my childhood. So I went on this trip, and this was supposed to be special because I wasn't just there to travel, I was there for a project, I was there to do something. The village had no access to electricity. Even in 2019, they were using kerosene lamps and candles in the houses. So our project's goal was to set up a solar microgrid so that every house at least had a couple of bulbs. And the villagers were so happy. They gave us a ceremonial welcome. We were invited to the townhouse. There was a feast laid out. I don't remember the names of all the dishes, but one of them looked like dumpling. One of them was like a mixed veg sauteed thing. There were some greens. There were also some flour-based dish. I mean, it was a treat. And then I saw this old lady enter the town hall, and she was carrying a baby in her hands, and she was surrounded by this army of toddlers. And one of them was the little girl that I had seen by the river. It is quite common in the small villages and in the mountains to have a lot of kids. It is more mouths to feed, but it's also more hands to help as they grow up. So I wasn't surprised to see that she had an army of kids around her. But I approached her to offer a helping hand, and I asked, how old are they? I was trying to enunciate every word because there was a language barrier. They speak Ladakhi, which I don't follow, very different from Hindi. So we were struggling to communicate, but I asked, how old are they? And then she kind of just swung the baby that was in her arms and said, this one was born last month. The others I don't remember. And I sympathized with her. It's not like if you asked my grandmom how old I am today, she would know the answer. She wouldn't. So anyway, we moved on with our day. We started our work, and throughout the day, our team would be hammering bulb holders, would be doing the wiring from the roof to the different rooms in the houses, would be carrying the batteries and the dishes to the solar panels to the roof. It was very tough, but we would take breaks and talk to the residents just to get their story. And I noticed this little girl who was standing at the very back of the town hall behind her father at this point, and she was also looking at me. She was stealing glances in my direction, but I could tell that she was avoiding eye contact. So I thought I'd make the approach. I went to her dad and I asked, what's her name? And the father kind of looked at me a bit confused. I thought maybe he didn't get what I was trying to say. So I pointed at her and I said, name, what's her name? My name is Niharika. What is her name? And he said, I have so many children. Sometimes I forget their names. And then suddenly I couldn't return his smile. I mean, I couldn't empathize with that circumstance. He has so many children that he doesn't remember their names. How hard is it to remember names? You can call her Tenzin, he said, offering a very popular Ladakhi name because he could tell that there is some discomfort I am feeling there. So he just said, call her Tenzin. You can call her Tenzin. I thought, okay, Tenzin it is. The next 2 days, the work got tougher, but I think my motivation was better because I was no longer just doing this for the village. I think I was doing it specifically for Tenzin. I didn't want her to be exposed to the fumes from the kerosene lamps. I wanted her to have a proper bulb, some light when she started studying alphabet. But then I also wondered whether she would ever get the opportunity to study. Their village didn't have a school. The construction of their village school was abandoned halfway because no teachers could be employed to make the daily trek to Yugar village. The village sat deep in the valley. It was tens of miles away from the nearest town that had connectivity. And in the winters, it was completely locked off from any other area. The boys in the village were sent to a monastery when they turned 6, but there was no plan for the girls. They were just left in a limbo. So I was hoping that by bringing electricity, we were planting some seeds of change. The last house we worked in happened to be Tenzin's, and there she was. She was cuddled in a corner behind her mother. She had this multicolored woolen hat, and she just like kept pulling that hat over her head like this. And it felt like she was almost playing a game of peekaboo. Like she would do this, and then she'd do this, and then she'd do this, and she'd do that. So one of my colleagues and I, we started engaging with her. We also started doing this, and we started doing this, and she was so happy. The whole room was full of her laughter. So we started doing counting with her, and I'd be like, 1, 2, 3, high five. And she came running to me and she high fived me. That's a moment that I'll never forget. Her father came watching all of this kerfuffle that was going on in his house. He came and he sat right next to me. I think he was enjoying himself too. And then he just said, pick her up, take her with you. And I said, what? Again, like the language. And I said, take her to lunch. And he said, no, take her. Take her home with you. And I just looked at him, locked in like this uneasy gaze. I didn't know what to say, so I just looked away, smiled. Again, I searched for empathy, but I found myself judging him. He's got to be joking, right? He loves her, doesn't he? He's gonna look after her, won't he? Maybe I heard him wrong. Yeah, I probably just heard him wrong. It was a struggle to refocus on the last bit of work. But when we were done, the valley erupted in cheers. You could see every house in the village light up like the festival Diwali. And we knew our work here was done. The next morning we would be leaving. I felt the uneasiness carried to the next day as well, thinking about Tenzin, thinking about her future, thinking about my future. I mean, I knew that I wasn't ready for Tenzin's responsibility. I barely knew what I was doing myself. But was her father ready for her responsibility? How could he just offer her up so easily? I plastered a smile on my face, but I felt angry and I felt helpless, but mostly angry. I stood by the river one last time, holding my toothbrush, waiting for Tenzin, waiting to say goodbye. But Tenzin didn't show up that day. I think every time after that I recall this episode, I just got really emotional. I barely even talked to anyone about this, wondering whether there was something I should have done, something I should be doing now. I would pull up photos of her and wondered whether she was being looked after. Then years later, I was telling a dear friend, she listened to this story. She listened to telling me tell the story with a mix of guilt and anger. And she just gave me a different perspective. She said, you know what? This story is not of a neglectful father, Niharika. This story is of a little girl growing up in a world vastly different from ours, being raised by a father who loves to see her laugh and who wants a better future for her, even if it means giving her up. This story is of hope. And I think I internalized that at that point. Yeah, this story is of hope for Tenzin and for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Niharika. And with that, again, just a moment of reflection, a moment so that we can give thanks for the opportunities that we're given and the opportunities that we can give to others and our limitations as well. Thank you very much for sharing that, Niharika. That was really, I've heard the story before and it's a powerful story each time. Helplessness on all sides and the decisions that we make. Thank you. And that is the last story that we have for you this evening. Now, all the stories have been fantastic. And thank you again to all our storytellers. Could we please have another round of silent applause? Once again, the next online storytelling, I'm going to be hosting again. Hopefully, I'll be a bit better at it next time. But the next one is going to be October the 25th. And you get your stories in before October the 11th if you would like to tell. I will be putting a form into the group chat after this is finished. We have had people on Facebook as well. Thank you to the people watching on Facebook. And thank you to all the future watchers who are watching now. It's such a delight to be involved in this community. It's so fantastic. And this multi-world, multi-story, you would get to travel all the way around the world and climb different mountains and be way too close to elephants. I'm sorry, that was way too close to elephants. So yes, October 25th is the next one. October 11th is the cutoff for the stories. I'll send around the form for that. And Mike Rust has got a story show, which I'm going to find the link for and put it up on the story group as well. He's going to be doing a story round. Is that right, Mike? Tomorrow night.
Right. Yeah.
At 6 p.m. British Standard Time. That's the 21st of September and every other week after that. And I believe that that's an open mic. Is it, Mike?
Absolutely, it is. Yes. And all you have to do is to go onto the World Storytelling Cafe and click the golden box and you come straight through. We made it as easy as we possibly can so people like me can actually find it ever so easily. So.
And
Okay.
thank you to the other people who have joined in, including Zulfin Rahma and Jamila Mustafa and Selena Eisenberg. It's good to see you guys as well. We didn't get to say hello to you at the beginning, so thank you very much for joining us and being here. And again, to all our future listeners, thank you as well for joining us. Hi, Selena. I'm going to stop the recording now, but if you want to stay on and give compliments and thanks, that's really great.
I didn't expect so many stories in the mountains, which I love, by the way. Really enjoyed it.
That was so fabulous. Oh my goodness. There's just so much there. So much. For our storytellers tonight, is there anybody who does not want your story published? Are we okay to publish them all?
No.
Fine with me.
Yeah, and me. Yeah.
Okay.
You can publish mine even though I didn't tell it.
Not this time. Next time, Babasi. Next time.
You tell it tomorrow, Baba.
Babasi,
yeah.
that's the shortest story we'll ever hear from you.
No, I actually have one shorter than that. You want to hear it? Want to hear it again?
Again?
Oh my goodness. What a roller coaster ride of emotions and what a fantastic group of storytellers.
Yeah.
So well crafted, so beautiful, and such a
Hello,
variation.
Mike, I can see you dancing with the elephants.
Hello,
I've
hello.
actually seen an elephant dance. Don't ask me where or how or why. All the stories moved me. I mean, yes, especially the last one, because that was a father who wanted better for his child.
Yeah.
As so many of us parents do.
A tough,
You know,
tough
whoa.
place to be.
Yeah.
Food for the soul, ladies and gentlemen. Food for the soul.
Very
Thank
much
you.
so. Very much so. And I
Thank
feel
you.
very blessed to have had you all here today.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. Thank you to Naherika too for starting this whole thing because we like personal stories over here in Hong Kong Stories. So we're like, we need more of this.
And Rona, your story is like, I think I would have done the same thing your husband did. Come in, look, and walk back out.
Turn around.
That tells you everything.
Actually, Babasi, can I just tell you, my husband did not get off scot-free. I didn't finish the clearing up, he did.
Right. And
To
it
be
was
fair, that's
interesting
probably
that
for
you
the
would-
best.
It's interesting that you vacuumed the embers into your
I know.
Hoover, as you call it, vacuumed,
No,
Hoover,
vacuum cleaner,
vacuumed.
yeah.
Yeah, because I just read a story about not doing that because someone did it and it exploded.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I'm so glad you're still with us.
Yeah.
This isn't the first story I've heard Rona tell of like a near-death experience, by the way. Oh, I
But
forgot to mention. Sorry.
May I point out that all this while Rona had a glass of wine in her hand. So she
Just spill the wine.
Hey, guess what, Erica? I didn't spill a drop.
Priorities.
I forgot to mention the theme for next month is going to be spooked. So if you've got tales of true first-person tales of maybe some otherworldly experiences or seeing things that might not have been there, or get ready to tell those at the end of October.
This one.
Right,
Listen, shall we?
Evita has something.
Sure.
Evita, did you have something to say?
Yes, you just triggered a story about spooked.
Save it for next month.
Yep, I will.
Never give away your stories for free.
Oh,
Beautiful.
That was wonderful. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all.
And
It's
thank you.
good to be back with you all. I missed
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. It is
Same.
really nice to see everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
is
you.
really
Good night
wonderful
to
to
you,
see.
Rachel.
Thank
Vero,
you,
did
Usha.
Yeah.
That was
Vero,
wonderful.
Vero, did you see my message, Vero?
Yeah, and I don't
I
know
owe you-
why.
Because do you remember when I got my bag nicked in Morocco? I had no money whatsoever, and you gave me 20 quid. And I couldn't remember who it was that gave me it until very recent. And I thought it was Vero. So I'm going to come and see you sometime.
I don't know, Rona.
You know
I
what?
don't
You'll
know.
And
definitely
borrow
have to
20
spend
quid
20
off you
quid.
again.
Come and see me.
Catherine, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I'd love to tell a ghost story next time, but sadly I have a gig. But it depends on the time of the gig. Maybe, you never know. We'll see.
Tell us about the gig. Tell us about the gig.
Yeah.
It's actually
All three.
stories.
Where is
Yeah,
the
all the faces.
Cancer recovery group.
view?
Yeah.
So in
I
terms
have
of
to leave.
Better staying in contact with each other.
Thank you, Usha.
in terms
you.
of gigs,
Thank
you
you.
can't do this online, but I want to just tell you next month we are I'm helping host the Woodstock Story Festival in the Woodstock. And we've got 16 people from around the world coming and performing in person. And it's so exciting. So
I'd love
we
to.
won't be streaming it, it's the way we're doing it, but 3 days of storytelling and music. So
We'll be there in
Awesome.
spirit.
yeah.
Fantastic. Well done. Anybody else have exciting things to share before we head off?
Yeah, we've got at our festival on the Sunday, we've got a hybrid festival that Yaspina's doing from Greece. She's coming over to Muchrannoch in Shropshire, and all day from 10 o'clock in the morning to about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. She's going to sit there and be online, and there's various different categories. There's education, there's going to be a talk on health and well-being, and all sorts of things that she's doing for us the whole day.
Drop us a link.
You're welcome to join in. And you will be reasonably surprised, Rachel, but I have been persuaded by you and Nicarika here to have a session on personal stories at the festival. So we're having a session on personal stories. All right. I know
We will win you all over.
I know I've been a bit curmudgeonly about it, but Sam has decided that I have been persuaded this is a good idea. So
Surely not, Mike. You're so quiet with your opinion, and just so
Oh, will you shut up? What's the matter with you? Gosh, I'm not having you tell lies about me, so you can shut up. Okay.
Rachel, excuse me while I die laughing at that remark.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we love you, Mike. We do.
Right.
I want to say, I had to spend 2 whole days with Mike, and only at the end of it was he like, okay, maybe. What's your name again?
Oh, Nicaraka.
Hi. I'm going to be down in Taunton with Taffy Thomas at the Hallsway Manor 3 Golden Apples residential weekend. I did it as a guest performer when I was just starting out, which is about 7 years ago. It was a mind-blowing experience. I met Kate Corkery, who opened my head to the linking of personal stories with myths and legends, with autobiographical tales. And I heard storytelling like I'd never heard. And it really worked wonders for me. And I've always said, I'm going to go back, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go back. And it's never happened. But this year, because I retired in June, and my time is my own, and I can arrange my own timetable. I'm going back the weekend of the 12th, and I can't wait.
Yeah. So those of you who don't know, Holsey Manor is an old English manor. It was built in the Elizabethan times, and it's the headquarters of the EFDSS. That's the English Folk Dance and Song Society. And it's got a wonderful library. If you're ever in the UK and you want to learn some traditional British stories or English stories, their library is a lovely place. You just go and sit there, and it's a room about the size of my house, and it's just full of books of all the old dance and all the old songs and all.
Do they do Morris dancing?
Absolutely.
You name it.
One of my dreams is to watch Morris dancing being done. Never did manage
Oh, yeah,
that.
You're talking,
We'll
Mike,
sort that out for you.
we're having a workshop this year at the festival, and I've been dancing since 1978, and I've taught it all sorts of stuff. So, all right.
With the elephants.
Rachel, be careful what you wish for. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Dad,
Game.
Rachel,
I'm game.
next festival we'll organise an evening of traditional dance, so we can get Usha and Niharka dancing, Indian, I'll dance Irish. He'll be, I don't know what he'll be doing, but you know.
He's saying this. He's like,
you know Vera, right? We are having the great dance festival the next 10 days, starting from Monday onwards, called the 9 Nights of Navratri. The 9 nights, and all ladies, gentlemen, children, everybody, they take the stick in their hand, and it's a group, it's a community event, and it's beautiful.
I wanted to dance, but alas, I no longer dance. The last time I danced, my blind neighbor told me to sit down. So
There's a lot of dancing in Marrakesh, from what I remember.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I've done some of the Indian dancing. So the moves are like this. They go, that's called change the light bulb.
Yeah.
Change the light bulb. Change the light bulb. Then they go,
Beryl, I'll do the Highland.
what the hell do we do next? What the hell do we do next? Just
I'll
change
do
the
the
light
Highland
bulb.
fling in my
Change the
kilt.
light bulb.
I want to tell you something about the kilt. Do you know men who wear kilts never get caught with their pants down?
So I'm
Brona, belt out another one.
Okay, and on that note,
yes,
I think it's probably time
yeah,
that we brought the whole tone down for the evening for us to go.
We need
Thank you
to
all again so much.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Take care.
Good night.
Before I finish, Veronica, get in touch with me. Veronica, get in touch with me. Okay?
I will.
Do it on WhatsApp.
see you later. Shall we leave?
All right, nice to see you, fellas. Okay.
All right, everyone take care.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later, Even Baden.
See you tomorrow night. Okay.
Now I want to go to Great Britain.
Where you want to come over? Rachel, before you go,
Yes.
I think you've done a lovely job today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I apologize for, I didn't know
No.
if you could see me or not. I apologize for interrupting your story.
No, I saw it. You gave me the timing. I asked you to do it, and you did it. I think you've done
Thank
a
you.
lovely session. You did.
Thank
It
you. That's
just
very
takes
kind
a
of
minute.
you.
No,
And
seriously.
Rachel,
No.
Stop
It's
being
easy
so
enough.
hard on yourself. You were brilliant. You did a very good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's
I'm
difficult.
very comfortable with the hosting. I'm just not very comfortable with the technology and the hosting.
Yeah, you get used to it. You've got to do it. You've got to be started at some time, and you'll get used to it. So
Yeah.
you've done a lovely job today. You really have.
Thank you. And I wish every success for your festival, Mike. It sounds wonderful.
Well, it certainly helped because very late on, the English Arts Council, that's called ACE, gave us 25,000 quid.
Grand.
Oh,
Right. So
I'll be over next year. Okay.
No, well, if I'd known about it earlier this year, you'd have been over this year.
Well,
Okay, but I didn't know
yeah.
about it, so I
Mike,
didn't know about it.
Mike, in Marrakesh, you promised me you'd invite me.
Well, well, get in touch. Okay, I've got a few tickets where I can put you up in the accommodation and give you a free ticket. We've got some spaces for that. Okay?
Fantastic.
What's
Right.
the date again, Mike? What's the date again?
Did we say
think
we
it's
wanted you to come?
No, I'm inviting myself
You're
if I'm
gonna
available.
You're gonna blow the pub up by
I don't-
sticking a incendiary on something like that.
I
That
think
pub's
it's
been there.
the
That pub's been there 1,500 years, and you
Right,
turn
just
up.
tell me what the date is
10th,
10th to
11th,
the 12th.
of October.
Yeah, pop down if you're in England. Are you in Italy or are you in?
I'm in
Manchester?
Italy at the moment, but I'm coming home next week.
Well, come on down if you want to.
Aye,
It's a rough life for some of us, isn't it?
Well, if you're going to live in stupid places like Hong Kong, okay.
exactly.
I'm moving to Canada.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, which part?
Thank you so much, Catherine. It was so good to see you again.
Yeah, Waleed, if you can hear me, thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay,
thank
mate.
you, Waleed.
Rachel, don't go just yet. I just want to have a
Okay.
wee word for you before you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I leave?
Yeah.
Yes, please, Babasi. Sorry, darling. It's private.
I will never loan you a phone again. No.
It's so good to see you though, Babasi, and I will get in touch next time I come to Washington. It should be probably in April.
Okay. I should be here. All right.
Fantastic.
In the meantime, ladies, take care. And
Great,
Waleed,
thank you.
thank you very, very much. And as Waleed likes me to say, see out.
Okay, what's up there, Rhoda?
I don't know if you saw my message that I sent you about why I was going to be telling a whole different story. And I just got completely blown away by that story of loss. Because I don't know if you know that I lost my son in February, my youngest son. He was only 32 and he died of a heart attack, and I'm over
Yeah.
it. And I was getting over it, you know. But then hearing that story, it just was like boom. And
Yeah.
I thought, what do I do now? Do I just say I'm not going to tell? So
You can. Look, if it's too much,
no,
do that.
it was fine because I have to get used to getting over that, you know, anytime.
You do, but you know what? You can also be kind to yourself, and you can if things are too much,
Yeah.
just say, I don't think
Yeah,
I
but-
can.
but-
I've got to have some time over that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't know the story that Usha was going to tell because this is my first time
Oh, no,
hosting, and I
but-
didn't
but-
chase
but-
people
yeah.
on things too.
But-
Otherwise, I could have given you a bit of a warning or put
Yeah.
you before her.
No, but
Um,
it doesn't matter because I was able to overcome it. That was the same thing. I was quite proud of myself. I just thought, right, I just told the first thing that came into my head. It wasn't the story that I had planned, but I thought I'll tell them about my experience with my getting a new Hoover. But
It's
thank you very
it's the
much.
most complicated way I've seen of getting new implements for your house. But no, it's certainly, you know, whatever makes you feel comfortable. And I really do. Usually when we are doing this kind of thing, we do know the stories a bit better. Like I said, I had a bit of a mental breakdown this month, so it's been very, very patchy, and I haven't followed up on people and stuff like that. But I'm in a much better place now, and I'm going to do next month. So it's partially my fault for not knowing what was going on as well and checking with everybody. So the next month it will be even better.
Yeah, no, you don't even need to do that, Rachel, because that's not, you know, it's not fair to expect somebody to be that, you know, doing that much
No,
before.
I understand you're not
Yeah.
expecting me to fix things or to make it better, but just to have a little bit more of an expectation of what's happening so that you're ready for things. And for me to know as a host as well, what kind of stories people are telling so that because I did know that you lost your son.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously it's very sorry. But I should have been a bit more sensitive to that as well. So not that I'm beating myself up over it,
No,
but
don't
knowing
at all.
that
Yeah.
that was part of what was going on. as a host, I should be able to take that into consideration as well.
Rachel,
Yeah.
I've managed to eventually come to terms with the fact, because I have faith, I'm a believer, and my boy was a bit of a rascal. He never did anything really bad, you know, but my take on it is that God decided he needed another angel, and he took him up there to be with my dad so that they could both cause havoc, and it would have kept him from getting into any further trouble in the meantime. So that's my view on it.
That's a wonderful thing. My younger brother died in a motorcycle accident when he was 18. And oftentimes it was the year that we got married. So it was more than 25 years ago now. It was actually 2 days before our wedding, which ended up taking place much later. But you know, the devastation, obviously, but also there's a little bit of us that, as a child, he was constantly getting into trouble and always getting injured.
Yes.
Always. And so if anybody was going to be taken, it was going to be him. You know? So there was a little bit of consolation of like, he died the way he lived.
Yeah. And that was a bit like for me as well. And it was just, at first there was a bit of guilt, because I thought I should have known there was something wrong with him, but how could I? You know, it was one of those things. It had been there probably all his life and had never been detected, and then that was it. But anyway, thank you for being so understanding and just.
Oh, of course. Thank you for being here and sharing with us. It's so wonderful to see you again.
Yeah, and you.
And once I've got this whole moving countries thing sorted out, I'm taking a trip to Europe. Maybe we can catch up in person.
Yes, you can come to Italy, or you can come to Scotland, or you can come to England, which is where I actually live now, because all my children are there. You know.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Wait, and you live in England now?
Yeah.
Did you say?
Yeah, I've been in England for 40 years.
Right. Right.
So, you know.
Where in England again? Remind me. I know you told me, but
Manchester.
I forget. Oh, okay. Oh, you're right close to. I was in Liverpool for 6 years.
Oh yeah, well, I've got. So you can hear that in the background. My two friends from Liverpool are here at the moment.
Oh, how wonderful! Yeah, yeah. I went to University of Liverpool. That was the first place I went to in the UK. Me, a little Canadian girl, never been to the UK before. I went to Liverpool, and I thought everyone was speaking German. Like I couldn't understand what anybody said, and I thought, oh my goodness, there's a lot of Germans here. Like I had a guy threaten me with we had our electricity go out in our flat, and I'm Canadian, so I think like, okay, there's like a storm somewhere and the power lines are down. So I go and knock on my neighbor's door, because I'm Canadian, I'm allowed to do that. I go and knock on my neighbor's door, and I'm like, my electricity's gone out. Is yours out as well? And they're like, oh no, you have to go. And I'm sorry to the people who are listening. I'm going to do a terrible Liverpool accent. You got to go down to the shop and get yourself some Lucky with your Lucky card. And I was just like, I've got to do.
I didn't reckon that was pretty good.
I've got to do what? Like I've got to go down to the shop and buy electricity?
Yeah.
With an electricity card? Like, do I bring a jar or like? No idea what's going on.
Mental. I know. Very, very strange. But you know what? I'm still thinking about you saying about 25 years ago you were married. I thought you were about 35.
I just turned 50.
Shut up.
I did.
Hey.
See.
50.
Very
Hi,
good.
Liverpudlians.
Yeah, tell me about
self-denial and a fish diet.
That'll be it. Yeah.
That's amazing. Amazing, Rachel. Anyway, I'll let you go, sweetheart. Thank you so much for being the host today. It was wonderful. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I'm so glad
I really did too. What a fantastic group of stories, but they always are.
They were wonderful. All right, man.
Love you, dear. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
She's an absolute sweetheart, honestly.
She's so lovely.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.